a.m. is when your mind stops lying to you. That's why you're here.
It's 3 a.m. Everyone else is asleep. The world is quiet. Your phone is dim. And here you are, awake, alone, thinking. You tell yourself you just can't sleep. Insomnia, stress, too much coffee. But that's not it. You know what it is. 3 a.m. is when the lies stop working, when the mask comes off, when you can't pretend anymore. During the day you're fine, you smile, you function, you tell everyone you're good. But at 3 a.m. the truth crawls out from wherever you buried it, and it sits on your chest like a weight you can't lift. You're not okay. You haven't been for a while, and pretending is exhausting. That's why you're here. That's why you clicked on this. That's why you're listening to some voice in the dark tell you things you already know but don't want to admit. Because 3 a.m. is the only time you're honest with yourself. The only time you stop running, stop distracting, stop performing. The only time you face the person in the mirror and see them for what they really are. Lost, tired, broken. And the worst part is nobody knows. Nobody sees it. During the day you wear your costume so well that even you almost believe it. Almost. But 3 a.m. doesn't lie. 3 a.m. doesn't let you hide. 3 a.m. is where the truth lives. And if you're reading this right now in the dark, then you already know what that truth is. You want to know why you can't sleep? It's not your mind racing. It's not anxiety. It's not some chemical imbalance. It's because during the day you run so fast that you never have to stop and look at what you're running from. Work, friends, social media, Netflix, anything to fill the silence. Because silence is dangerous. Silence makes you think, and thinking leads you to places you don't want to go. So you stay busy, you stay distracted, you stay moving. But at 3 a.m. there's nowhere left to run. The distractions are gone, the noise is dead, and you're left alone with the one person you've been avoiding all day, yourself. And that person has questions you don't want to answer. Why are you still in that job you hate? Why are you still in that relationship that drains you? Why are you still pretending to be happy when you're dying inside? Why are you living a life that feels like someone else's script? During the day you have excuses, responsibilities, bills to pay, people depending on you. But at 3 a.m. the excuses sound hollow. The justifications fall apart. At 3 a.m. you see the truth clearly. You're not living, you're surviving. And survival isn't enough anymore. You're going through the motions of a life you never wanted, playing a role you never auditioned for, becoming someone you don't even recognize. And you know it. You've always known it. You just don't know what to do about it. So you lie there in the dark, phone in hand, scrolling, searching, looking for something to make sense of the chaos in your head, looking for someone to tell you it's not just you, that you're not crazy for feeling like this, that you're not broken for wanting more than this empty existence. Well, here it is. You're not crazy. You're not broken. You're just finally awake. Let me tell you what your day looks like. You wake up already exhausted, not from lack of sleep, but from the performance you know you have to give. You put on the mask, the smile, the energy. You go to work and pretend to care about things that don't matter. You sit in meetings about nothing. You make small talk with people you don't like. You scroll through social media and see everyone living their highlight reel while you're barely surviving your behind the scenes. You come home, you're drained. Not from hard work, but from the act of pretending to be happy, pretending to be fine, pretending that this is the life you chose, and then night comes, and you think finally, I can rest. But you can't, because at 3 a.m. the mask doesn't work anymore. At 3 a.m. you're forced to admit what you've been hiding all day. This isn't your life. This is a prison sentence you're serving for crimes you didn't commit. You did everything right. You followed the rules. You checked the boxes. School, job, relationships, responsibilities. You became what everyone expected you to become, and it made you miserable. Because somewhere along the way you stopped living for yourself and started living for everyone else. You became the person your parents wanted, the employee your boss needed, the friend everyone could rely on. But who are you? Strip away the roles, remove the expectations, take off the mask. Who the hell are you underneath all that? You don't even know anymore. And that's what keeps you up at 3 a.m. The terrifying realization that you've spent so long being what other people needed, that you forgot to be what you needed. You forgot to ask yourself what you actually want. What would make you happy? What would make you feel alive instead of just existing? And now you're stuck, trapped in a life you built for other people, and you don't know how to get out. So you lie there, in the dark, wondering if this is it, if this hollow performance is all there is, if you're supposed to just keep pretending until you die. The answer is no. But we'll get to that. You want to know what makes it worse? Nobody notices. You could be drowning right in front of them and they'd ask if you're okay and accept your lie without a second thought. Because people don't want to see your pain. They want to see your smile. They want the version of you that makes them comfortable. That doesn't make them feel guilty. That doesn't force them to actually care. So you give them that version, even though it's killing you. Your friends ask how you are and you say fine, and they believe you because it's easier than the truth. Your family sees you at holidays and thinks you're doing great because you've learned to perform so well. Your coworkers think you're happy because you show up and do your job and never complain. But none of them see you at 3 a.m. None of them see you breaking. None of them know what it costs you to maintain that illusion. And maybe you've tried to tell them. Maybe you've dropped hints. Maybe you've said, I'm struggling. And they responded with, think positive, or it could be worse, or everyone goes through this. And you smiled and nodded because what else could you do? You can't force people to care. You can't make them see what they refuse to look at. So you stopped trying. You stopped reaching out. You stopped hoping that someone would actually see you. And you learned to carry it alone, in silence. In the dark hours when nobody's watching. That's the loneliest part, not being alone, but being surrounded by people and still feeling invisible. Being in a room full of friends and feeling like you're on the outside looking in. Having a partner next to you in bed and feeling more alone than if you were by yourself. Because loneliness isn't about being alone, it's about being unseen. Unheard, unknown. It's about screaming on the inside while smiling on the outside, and nobody hearing a thing. That's what eats at you at 3 a.m. Not just the emptiness, but the isolation. The knowledge that you could disappear tomorrow and most people wouldn't even notice. And the ones who did would move on within a week, because you're not a person to them. You're a function, a role. A placeholder. And when you're gone, they'll just find someone else to fill that space. That's the brutal truth your mind throws at you in the dark. You used to have dreams, real ones. Not the safe, practical dreams people told you to have, but the dangerous, impossible, beautiful dreams that made your heart race. You were going to do something, be someone, create something, matter. But then life happened, and reality set in, and the voices got louder. Be realistic. Grow up. You can't make money doing that. That's not a real career. So you buried the dreams, told yourself they were childish, naive, stupid. You chose the safe path, the responsible path, the path everyone approved of. And it's been killing you ever since, because those dreams didn't die. They're still there, buried under years of compromise and rationalization and fear. And at 3 a.m., they claw their way to the surface. They remind you of who you wanted to be, what you wanted to create, the life you imagined before you learned to be afraid. And it hurts. God, it hurts. Because you're so far from that person now. So deep in this life, you never wanted that. The idea of going back feels impossible. You have bills, responsibility, people depending on you. You can't just quit your job and chase some dream. You can't just start over. You can't just throw away everything you've built, even if everything you've built is a prison. So you make peace with it. You tell yourself it's too late, that you're too old, that you missed your chance. You convince yourself that the dream was never real anyway, that you wouldn't have made it, that you're better off this way. But you don't believe it. Not really. At 3 a.m., you know the truth. The dream was real. The desire was real. The person you could have been was real. And you gave it up. Not because it was impossible, but because you were scared. Scared of failure. Scared of judgment. Scared of being the one person who actually tried, while everyone else played it safe. So you became one of them. You joined the masses. You accepted the life everyone said you should want. And now you're lying in the dark, wondering what if. What if you had been brave? What if you had tried? What if you had believed in yourself instead of listening to everyone else? Where would you be now? Who would you be? The answers to those questions are what keep you up at night. Not because you don't know them, but because you do, and they destroy you. Here's what's happening to you right now. The mask you wear during the day is starting to crack. The performance is getting harder to maintain. You used to be able to fake it, push through, smile through the pain. But lately it's taking more effort, more energy, more of you, and there's not much left. You're running on empty, going through the motions. One bad day away from a complete breakdown. And you can feel it coming, like a storm on the horizon. You can sense that something's about to give. Maybe it's a panic attack at work. Maybe it's snapping at someone you love. Maybe it's just breaking down in your car in a parking lot. But it's coming, because you can't keep this up forever. The human soul wasn't designed to live in constant performance mode. It wasn't meant to suppress and hide and pretend indefinitely. Eventually it cracks. Eventually the truth forces its way out. And when it does, it won't be pretty. So you're at a crossroads. You can feel it even if you don't want to admit it. You can either keep going like this until you completely fall apart, or you can make a change before it's too late. But here's the thing about change. It's terrifying. Staying in your misery is familiar, predictable, safe. Change means uncertainty, risk, potential failure. Change means admitting you were wrong, that the life you built isn't working, that you need to start over in some way. And that's scary as hell. So most people don't change. They just keep going. keep suffering, keep pretending, until one day they wake up at 60 years old and realize they wasted their entire life living for everyone else. And by then it's too late. Is that what you want? Is that the path you're choosing? Because if you're reading this at 3 a.m., then some part of you is screaming for something different. Some part of you knows there has to be more than this. And that part is right. Let's talk about what's really keeping you stuck. It's not the job. It's not the relationship. It's not the circumstances. It's fear. Fear of what people will think if you change. Fear of disappointing people who expect you to stay the same. Fear of failing if you actually try. Fear of success. Fear of being seen. Fear of becoming the person you're meant to be and having to live up to that. You're afraid that if you step out of line, people will judge you, call you selfish, say you're having a crisis. You're afraid that if you pursue what you actually want, you'll lose the people in your life who only love the version of you that serves them. You're afraid that if you're honest about who you are, people will reject you. So you stay small, you stay safe, you stay stuck, because being stuck is less scary than being free. Being miserable is less scary than being happy, because happiness means you have something to lose, and you've already lost so much. You can't risk losing more. So you protect yourself. You build walls. You numb out. You settle for a life that's bearable instead of reaching for one that's beautiful. And every night at 3 a.m., your soul reminds you what a mistake that is. Because here's the truth. They don't want you to know. The only thing scarier than changing is staying the same. The only thing worse than failing is never trying. The only real tragedy isn't losing people when you evolve. It's losing yourself while trying to keep them. You already know this. At 3 a.m. when the lies stop working, you know this with absolute clarity. The question is, what are you going to do about it when the sun comes up? Are you going to put the mask back on and keep pretending? Are you going to hit snooze on your life for another day? Or are you finally going to listen to that voice in the dark that's begging you to wake up? Let me tell you something about the person you're becoming. They're not who you used to be. They can't be. You've seen too much, felt too much, lost too much. The old you is dead, and you need to stop trying to resurrect them. That version of you believed in things that weren't real, trusted people who didn't deserve it, had hope that the world crushed. That version is gone, and good riddance. Because the person you're becoming is stronger, smarter, more real. They don't believe in fairy tales. They don't trust easily. They don't give their heart to people who haven't earned it. They see the world for what it is: brutal, unfair, indifferent. And they're not scared of it anymore. This new version of you that's emerging in these dark hours at 3 a.m. is dangerous. Not to others, but to the life you've been living. Because they won't tolerate the bullshit anymore. Won't accept the bare minimum. Won't settle for scraps. They know their worth even if nobody else does. They know what they deserve even if they haven't gotten it yet. And they're done waiting for permission to live. This is who you're becoming, whether you're ready or not. The question is, are you going to fight it or embrace it? Are you going to cling to the old you and keep suffering? Or are you going to let yourself evolve into who you're meant to be? Because evolution is painful. Growth is uncomfortable. Becoming yourself when the world wants you to be someone else is a battle, but it's the only battle worth fighting. And at 3 a.m. when you're alone with your thoughts, you already know this. You already know that you can't keep living like this, that something has to change. that you have to change. The only question is when. The choice nobody talks about. Here's the choice nobody wants to admit exists. You can either live for yourself or live for everyone else. You cannot do both. You can either pursue what makes you happy or pursue what makes others comfortable. You cannot do both. You can either be authentic or be accepted. You cannot do both. Society doesn't tell you this because they need you compliant. They need you following the script. They need you too afraid to step out of line. Because if everyone started living for themselves, the whole system would collapse. Who would work the jobs nobody wants? Who would follow the rules? Who would stay in their lane? They teach you to value approval over authenticity, to choose safety over fulfillment, to sacrifice yourself for the greater good. And you believed them. You played along. Until now. Until 3 a.m. when the programming stops working. And you see the truth. The greater good is a lie. It's just code for your good doesn't matter. And you've spent your whole life putting your good last, sacrificing your dreams for other people's comfort, dimming your light so others don't feel threatened. And where has it gotten you? Here, alone, in the dark, miserable. So the choice is simple, even if it's not easy. You can keep living for everyone else and die inside a little more each day. Or you can start living for yourself and risk everything. Your relationships might change, your family might not understand, your friends might drift away. People will call you selfish. They'll say you've changed. They'll try to guilt you back into your old role because your freedom threatens their comfort. Your authenticity exposes their facade. Your courage highlights their cowardice. So they'll try to pull you back down. Try to make you small again. Try to convince you that wanting more is wrong. But at 3 a.m. you know better. You know that the only thing wrong is wasting your one life living for people who wouldn't do the same for you. You know that being called selfish by people who only love you when you serve them is actually a compliment. You know that losing people who only want the fake version of you isn't loss. It's liberation. So what happens when you finally make the choice? When you finally decide to stop pretending and start living? First, it gets worse. The mask coming off is painful. The truth coming out is messy. The old life falling apart is terrifying. People will react. They'll push back. They'll try to put you back in your box. And there will be moments where you question everything, where you wonder if you made a mistake, where you want to go back to the comfortable misery. But you can't. Not really. Because once you've seen the truth, you can't unsee it. Once you've tasted freedom, you can't go back to prison. So you push through. You endure the discomfort. You weather the storm. And slowly things start to shift. You start to feel lighter, like you've been carrying a weight your whole life, and finally set it down. You start to breathe deeper, like you've been suffocating and finally got air. You start to feel alive, really alive. Not just going through the motions, but actually experiencing your life. And yes, you lose people. The ones who only loved the fake you. The ones who needed you small. The ones who couldn't handle your growth. But you also find people. Real people. People who see you and love what they see. People who celebrate your truth instead of fearing it. You find yourself. The real you. Not the role. Not the performance. Not the version everyone approved of. The raw, honest, flawed, beautiful, real you. And that version is worth everything you had to let go of to find them. This is what's waiting on the other side of the fear, on the other side of the choice, A life that's actually yours. A life that feels real. A life worth living. But you have to choose it. Nobody's gonna give you permission. Nobody's gonna save you. At 3 a.m. in the dark, it's just you and the truth. And the truth is asking you a question. Are you brave enough to live? You want to know why 3 a.m. hits different? Because it's the hour when your defenses are down, when your ego is asleep, when the truth has no competition. During the day you can convince yourself of anything. You're fine. It's not that bad. Tomorrow will be better. But at 3 a.m. the lies don't work. The denial doesn't stick. The hope feels hollow. At 3 a.m. you see everything with brutal clarity. You see the years you've wasted, the dreams you've killed, the life you've been avoiding. You see the people who don't really care, the job that's draining your soul, the relationship that's already over. You see yourself, not the highlight reel, not the persona, the real broken, tired, desperate you. And that vision is either going to destroy you or save you. If you let it destroy you, you'll keep running, keep hiding, keep pretending until there's nothing left. But if you let it save you, if you let this 3 a.m. truth be your wake-up call, then everything changes. Because this discomfort, this pain, this unbearable honesty is actually a gift. It's your soul screaming at you to stop wasting your life, to stop settling, to stop dying slowly. It's the part of you that refuses to accept this as your story, that knows you're meant for more, that won't let you give up even when you want to. That's what keeps you up at 3 a.m. Not anxiety, not overthinking. Hope. Dangerous, painful, relentless hope. The hope that maybe, just maybe, you can still turn this around. That it's not too late. That you can still become who you were meant to be. And that hope is right. It's not too late. You haven't missed your chance. You can still change everything. But only if you act. Only if you listen to that voice instead of silencing it. Only if you choose yourself for once. The final message. If you're listening this at 3 a.m., then this message is for you. You already know the truth. You've always known it. Your life isn't working. You're not happy. You're not living. You're surviving. And you can't keep doing this. The mask is heavy. The performance is exhausting. The lie is unsustainable. Something has to change. And that something is you. The choice is yours. It always has been. But know this. Every day you choose comfort over truth. You die a little more inside. Every day you wait is a day you'll never get back. So stop waiting. Stop preparing. Stop planning for someday. Someday is not a day of the week. Someday is a lie you tell yourself to avoid the fear of today. And if you keep choosing someday, you'll wake up one day and realize someday never came. So make today the day. Make this moment the moment. Choose yourself. Choose your truth. Choose your life. Not the one everyone expects. The one you actually want. Not the safe version, the real version. Not tomorrow. Today. Right now. At 3 a.m. when the world is asleep, and the lies don't work, and the truth is staring you in the face. This is your moment. Your chance. Your wake-up call. Don't waste it. Because if you're listening this at 3 a.m., you already know the truth. The only question is, what are you going to do about it?